We are live and we are also super late. That's my fault. Well, I can blame my kids, I guess, because we were talking about guns and stuff. So, it's one of those things. You lose track of time when you're having a discussion with people and you end up being late. But welcome to this week's episode of the Wrestling Show here on the Unloaded Media Channel. And tonight we have with us, as always, Kingpin himself, Mr. David Bowling. How are you?
Not doing bad, man. Good to see you. Well, sort of see you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, we've been in the same place before, so we both know what each other looks like. So it doesn't matter if we have cameras on or not. But and I just drew a complete and total blank on anything to talk about.
This is a wrestling show, so
Yeah, I know.
you can start there.
Yeah. See, do we got anybody out there? Oh, so far, just you. So, and there's somebody else out there. It says there's two people now. Oh, there's
Buck's
Buck.
out there. Hey, what's up,
Yeah.
Buck?
Hey, Buck.
I'm sure
Yep.
Makojo will show up.
Oh,
There's Fiend
there's
Dog.
Fiend Dog. Evening,
Glad
Fiend
he's
Dog.
good to have you there, Fiend.
See, either you and Buck both left, or the counter in here on StreamYard is completely wrong because it's only saying one person's watching.
Well, I mean, my answer is YouTube is asshole. You can't trust any of their numbers. But then that green guy from Texas and that tall guy from Arizona will tell me that I'm an idiot and I don't know what I'm talking about.
Okay. Let's see. What do we got to talk about this week? I know we're talking about wrestling, but I'm trying to think of something to talk about.
Any pay-per-views coming up or any big title matches or
Um,
anything coming up?
Pay-per-views. You know what? I think there is one tomorrow. I got to check the schedule because I know Extreme Rules is coming up. It's either tonight or tomorrow because WWE's got their schedules all screwed up. I can check real quick on
You
that.
said you said that Tyrus guy was
Uh-huh.
like a clown, right?
In WWE anyway, WWE made him like that. TNA they used him as a big monster kind of guy, but TNA in WWE they basically turned him into a clown.
If you've got some funny, goofy, clownish videos, send me one, please. I keep forgetting to look it up, and I don't want to spend a lot of time looking for one. If you know, like a good, funny one where he's clowning it up, because I'd love to show my parents that.
Oh, man.
There's
Yeah,
Makojo.
yeah, he was really just made into a laughing stock.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stream Rules is tomorrow, I believe. I could be wrong on that. I'm pretty sure it's tomorrow. Because Peacock's being of absolutely no help on that, and you would think they would have that scheduled on their network by now.
Doink the Clown. I remember that dude. He
Oh
was kind of a
God,
big guy.
yeah, there was actually more than one Doink because one got fired, and then they because he had a drug problem, and they hired somebody else to do the
'Cause I
Doink stuff.
remember one of them was like a huge dude, right?
Yeah, yeah, both of them were. One, the real name of the original Doink is Matt Bourne. He was a he was a guy that had been around for a long time. Him and Arn Anderson at one point were a tag team together. That's next weekend. Next weekend is Extreme Rules.
And he had his little buddy Dink with him, right?
Yeah, that was later on. Yeah, next Sunday's Extreme Rules. We could probably do a watch along for that one because that'll be on Peacock.
Which TV show was that? WWE?
Yeah, it's WWE. That's where
Yeah.
everything's a no disqualification match of some variety. What do they got so far for Extreme Rules matches lined up? Finn Balor in his demon persona is going to be taking on Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. Uh,
Yeah, but didn't you say they already scheduled a Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns match?
yeah, but more than like well scheduled, but they're setting up for it. I'm telling you that, but that's going to be probably in either in Saudi Arabia in October or Survivor Series or both for that matter. They could have the match end by shenanigans in Saudi and do a rematch at Survivor Series.
So pretty much this guy that Roman Reigns will probably run through this next guy pretty easy then.
I don't know if it'll be easy, but he'll probably definitely win. Let me
All
screen.
right. While you're thinking about that, I'm gonna throw something out for the chat and for you.
Okay, you seeing that?
Oh, I'm watching YouTube. Hold on, let me kick back over to StreamYard. Yeah, I'm seeing it.
Okay. Yeah, so you got the Demon versus Roman Reigns. And this is just like something he's been doing since he was in NXT, where he does the demon makeup. He does his own makeup. He always comes up with like some kind of cool design for the makeup. Like sometimes he'll look like the Punisher, kind of, or not the Punisher, Venom, kind of,
Yeah.
and other things. It's just like a. It's when he gets super serious, he does the makeup thing. So,
I mean, I
and
don't got a problem with that. Is he got a tile? No, that's the belt.
yeah, it, so it's not like he's actually doing a supernatural gimmick. It's just when he gets super serious, he puts on the makeup.
No, I can get behind that.
And then you got Alexa Bliss challenging Charlotte for the Raw Women's Championship. You got Sheamus challenging Damian Priest for the U.S. title. Bianca Belair getting her rematch against Becky Lynch for the SmackDown Women's title. And that's what they got so far as
All
far
right,
as
scroll. All
matches.
right, go back.
Go back there, up or down.
Right there to the three, because I'm not really. We already know Roman Reigns is going to beat the other guy because why have Brock Lesnar wrestle Roman Reigns if he doesn't have the title?
Right.
Okay, who's going to win the Charlotte match and the little freaky chick?
I don't know honestly. That could go either way. Both women are former Raw. Both have held that title multiple times. Both women have held this one that Becky Lynch has over on the far right multiple times. Who's going to win that match? Honestly, I don't know.
Who would you like to see win?
The little freaky chick.
And everybody in the chat, feel free to throw your vote in there so we can keep up with you guys too. All right, you'd like to see the little freaky chick win?
Yeah.
All right, if this was a real fight, who do you think would win? Like I'm talking about actual serious painful violence.
Hmm.
But not, I mean, still wrestling. It's wrestling,
Yeah.
but 100% real. So if you punch somebody, the referee is going to say, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, don't do that." But then when he turns around, you punch him again. Like who would win in an actual real life fight? Not a real life wrestling fight. You know what I mean? Am I making myself? Am I,
Yeah.
am I confused?
Charlotte's got the size and reach. Alexa's got the, but Alexa is actually stronger than she looks because she is a former actual weightlifter.
Uh,
It, so I mean, it's if you want to go size and reach, Charlotte. If you want to go speed and un you know uncanny, not thought about strength, then you got Bliss. So do you want to go size and reach, or you know
well, which one's more athletic? Like who's got the better moves in the ring?
they're both pretty athletic.
Okay, I
So
would
that's a
think.
wash on that front.
Fiend Dog said Alexa Bliss. I don't know what it is. I love that little freak girl. I'm never not voting for her. I think that uh, for the television show, her winning would probably be pretty good. I mean, Charlotte winning, she's a flair. I get it, but I think the other girl would probably do pretty good. And if it was real, I think I'm gonna go with the little freaky girl. I think she's gonna with her lack in size and reach. she's got to step up the violence. And I think her the level of violence that she would step it up to, Charlotte wouldn't be able to hold.
Yeah, I think you got the old adage of speed versus size in that. You know what I mean? So it'll be interesting to see because you'll have fights where size beats speed, but then you'll have other ones where speed beats size. So it's hard to say on that front because they match up fairly well against one another.
Yeah, like dude, I agree, Buck. I don't know what it is. I mean, I kind of know what it is, but I don't want to say too much. Not that they. It looks like my boss's ex-wife a little bit too.
Mm-hmm.
A little, like they resemble each other, just without the makeup. Okay, what about this other guy? I've seen the little blue-haired braided dude wrestle a time or two with you, but I don't know anything about him.
Yeah, he's been around for a while. He's actually in his mid 30s. He was on the independents for a long time before he was in WWE, and he was in NXT. He's been the national heavyweight champion in NXT or North American, excuse me, not national. Nationals on the NWA, but yeah, he's good. Damian Priest, he was Punisher Martinez on the independent scene, and then the other one is Sheamus. We all know about Sheamus. If
Yeah.
you don't, if you don't know Sheamus by now, you've been living under a rock and just don't watch wrestling. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, come on. I haven't watched wrestling since Dusty Rose, and I know who Sheamus is.
Right. And this is basically Sheamus's rematch because Priest took the U.S. title off of Sheamus.
Okay, so who do you think's gonna win uh the match? Like who do you think like what do you think?
I don't think they're going to end Priest's reign yet because he just got the belt. But it is the WWE and they've done stupider things before. So, but in my gut, I want to say Damian Priest wins this one.
Okay, what if it was real?
Man, both guys are the same. They're the same. They're the same dude. I mean, so it's
But that would come down to skill level.
yeah, and they're both they're too evenly matched, man. They really are. If you watch, and they don't let Sheamus do everything Sheamus is capable of, and they don't let Priest do everything he's capable of. You just watch like Raw and SmackDown. But if you watch when Sheamus went down the NXT and Triple H took the handcuffs off, and you watch Priest when he was in NXT and he didn't have the handcuffs on. That's what I like about NXT, and well, until Vince McMahon just took over. Anyway, back when Hunter was completely running it, yeah, these guys are so evenly matched. When you're talking about bringing on the violence, they both could do it.
All right, for the match, I think I'm gonna have to agree with you. I don't really know enough about the details, but what you said makes a lot of sense. If the guy just got the belt, unless they're setting up a third match, I think they're gonna
Which,
let him keep the belt.
and that's entirely possible. They could set up a third match.
See, that's where I would think they might let Sheamus win, and then have the guy take it back from him, and then that turns into a whole thing where they keep trading the belt back and forth or something,
Which again,
or it
it's
comes down to
WWE,
a
so
retirement match.
well, I don't think they're going to do a retirement match with either one of these guys at this point. They may do a loser has to go to the other federation, the other show because they've done that before.
Fiend Dog thinks Sheamus will win this one.
It's entirely possible. It's just a gut feeling. I want to say Priest wins, but it's entirely possible that Sheamus wins.
Yeah, for wrestling, I'm gonna agree with you just because, like I said, it makes sense what you were saying. And in a real life fight, just looking at the picture here, I might have to go with the Damien guy because he looks like he's a little bit younger. Looks like he might have a little bit more reach, probably a little bit more speed. Uh, Sheamus, I mean, and it might just be this picture, but Sheamus just looks like he's a little bit older, not as good shape. But I know Sheamus is in phenomenal shape. So if I had to pick a real fight, I think I'd pick the Priest guy.
Yeah, they're about the same age. Priest is around 36 or so, if I remember right, and Sheamus is around 37, 38. So they're around the same age. Yeah. So on on that front, so age wise, I don't think that either one of them has a real benefit. But you got to take into consideration too that you got guys wrestling into their 40s and 50s routinely now too. So age isn't as much a factor as what it used to be.
Fiend Dog said, "Gut feeling, no titles change hands, but putting who I want." I guess that's who. I guess he likes Sheamus more.
Oh, I like Sheamus. I've always liked Sheamus. I think he gets the short end of the stick a lot of the times from fans and stuff. But yeah, yeah. I mean, when him and Orton were a tag team, yeah, they were. I like that. And but Sheamus is just there's something about Sheamus. I've always liked the guy. You know, when they first debuted him and he was just running through people, reminded me of the Road Warriors, but only as an individual. You know what I mean? But yeah, there's just something about Sheamus. I always liked the guy.
Okay, now this. I'm aggravated already with this next match. Who do you think's gonna win between this black chick and this white chick?
Between Becky Lynch and Bianca, I think Becky Lynch is going to win. This is a grudge match, not just a title match, because when Becky Lynch made her return to the WWE, she beat uh, Belair for the SmackDown title in like 6 seconds. She hit her with one move and it was over.
That was that was like the worst match too, man. That was, I think Buck had some of the funniest comments about that one.
Yeah, that was when we watched SummerSlam. But here's an interesting thing about this pay per view: the only match that's on the screen right now that doesn't have somebody from Ireland is the Charlotte versus Alexa Bliss match.
Was this the demon guy from Ireland, or is the
Yep.
guy from the Paul guy in the background?
No. Finn Balor's from Ireland.
Uh,
Sheamus is from
Finn,
Ireland.
yeah, Finn Ballard, yeah.
Yeah. Well, his real name is uh, Fergal Devitt.
Jeez, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. His parents must not have liked him very much, right? But yeah, that's his real name, Fergal Devitt. In New Japan, he went by Prince Devitt. But yeah, he's from Ireland. Sheamus is from Ireland, and Becky Lynch is from Ireland. If this was on St. Patrick's Day, we'd have the luck of the Irish winning. All three of them would win.
Fiend Dog picked. He is more whiter than Rick. uh, Becky Lynch is who Fiend Dog picked. So who do you think's gonna win the match?
I think Lynch is going to win.
All right, what if it was a real fight?
Hmm. If it was a real fight, I'd have to go Belair on that one. She's just extremely strong and fast, and she's got that damn whip of a ponytail.
All right. I don't get it. This is where I just don't get it. So my experience is this black chick was super popular. The crowd really loved her, and she was on her way up in the company. And then they did what they did to her in such a horribly embarrassing way. I thought she was fired. I thought they were gonna fire
Welcome to the WWE. It's
her.
not the
I
first
mean,
time it's happened.
it just didn't make any sense to me at all. That whole arguing with the mic and then the girl coming in and pile driving her and winning. If it was if the wrestling match, I think they're gonna let the white girl win, and I think the black girl is she'll probably catch a pretty good check, and then she'll become like a second tier star. Uh, and they'll probably turn this other Becky chick into like a prime time star. If it was a real fight, I'd have to go with the black chick because I think she's stronger. She's probably faster. She's got a lot more reach, and I just imagine her. doing a kick to the face and knocking this redhead chick out.
Yeah. Well, Fiend Dog says he doesn't get the ponytail. The ponytail originally was part of her gimmick when she was in NXT because she was when she originally joined, she was a heel and she would cheat and use the ponytail as a weapon every match. Somewhere along the line, when she became a babyface, she kept the ponytail, but doesn't use it like she used to. So the ponytail at one point made sense. It was like the heel getting away with shit when behind the ref's back using the ponytail as a weapon.
Has she
But
ever had it ripped off her head?
no,
Is there any chance on the planet, the universe, the multiverse, human existence, whatever else you can, that any of that's real?
oh, it's got to be a weave. As long as
Yeah,
that ponytail is, it has to be a weave.
I think if you cut the ponytail completely off at that gold thing, where the gold thing touches the base of her head, I think that's all the hair she's probably really got. And then they just got like, they glued that thing to the top of her head somehow with
Yeah.
some gorilla glue or
Well,
something.
do some fantasy booking here real quick. Okay, Becky Lynch wins this match by shenanigans somehow because they've turned Becky into a heel for whatever reason. I guess because her husband's a heel, she has to be a heel. I don't know. But for those who don't know, she's married to Seth Rollins. Uh, so she wins shenanigans, hook her by crook, whatever. You know what I mean. So Bianca throws a fit on the next SmackDown, and the people in charge are like, they want to give her a match, but Lynch comes out and says, "No, I've already beat her twice. She doesn't get another match unless we do a title versus hair match."
And Fiend
If
Dog's already got the Brutus the Barber out there as
yeah,
a special guest referee.
yeah, if Belair loses at Survivor Series, she has to cut off the ponytail, or in Saudi Arabia because if they let the women wrestle this time.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, it's happened before. They did the last time.
Well, I mean, not in their regular outfits.
Well, neither one of
Like you
them really
talked about the
dressed
other
too.
day, they have to wear the bodysuits.
Yeah, neither one of these two dress super skimpy anyway, so it's not going to be that big a deal for them.
No, I can't figure out. It doesn't make any sense to me, and it was really disappointing watching it happen. And now that we're talking about it again, I'm trying to figure out is the black chick going to go to the other company, like the other TV show from WWE is what, like I don't know. It's weird. It
Now,
just doesn't
I
make any
doubt it.
sense.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to move her to the other TV show because they try and keep husband and wife on the same show, and
Are they
her
married in
husband,
real life or just on TV?
Bianca Belair is married to one half of the Street Profits, and they're a tag team on SmackDown, and Becky Lynch is married to Seth Rollins, and in real life, and they're both on SmackDown. So I don't see either one of them moving shows because they try and keep couples together, so make it easier for them for travel and whatnot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't see them moving either one of them to the other show.
See that's what's making me think that they might let the black girl win the title back, and probably in fair fashion. I'm not going to say she's going to 100% dominate the match, but I think she'll 65, 70% dominate the match and get her title back. Uh, it just doesn't make any sense, especially the move that they used. Like if she'd have hit her in the back of the head with the microphone and knocked her out or whatever, but they build this Bianca chick as like the next hardcore thing. Like she was the one to beat, and she got knocked out by a cheesy move.
Hmm. Oh yeah, I know. I'm not, but they were doing the whole she caught her by surprise thing
Well, yeah, I could still get with that, but she's got to
Yeah.
catch her by surprise with like a drop kick or an uppercut to the jaw or something like that,
Hmm. I see
or
where you're
a
coming
small
from.
package.
I, I still think it would be better if they did it the way I said, which means WWE is going to do it the way you said.
Well, like right there, the Fiend Dog's talking about like the hook the tights or something like that, or catch her in a small package when she's not paying attention, or
Right.
yeah, Mystics out there. Hey, girl.
Yeah, do like a sunset flip, yeah,
Yeah.
or feet on the ropes or something along those lines. Yeah, but I still like my idea because it also brings in the ponytail, which she's had for years now, and if she wins, she keeps her hair and do it at Survivor Series, and one of the big four pay-per-views, hair versus title. They've done those kind of matches before,
Yeah.
where if somebody lost the match, they'd have cut their hair off. So hair versus title versus ponytail. That's old school professional wrestling kind of thing.
Okay, so we're done with this match. Go ahead and scroll up to the top. All right, right there. Just this match here. Okay, I don't care. This is dumb. That dude that looks like the Spider Man is Brock Lesnar now. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
obviously Roman Reigns is gonna beat this guy,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
There's
in real
there's no
life,
way they're having Finn beat him.
I don't know what the Finn dude looks like. I've never seen him before in real life, so Roman Reigns is a pretty healthy looking dude.
Yeah. Well, Finn's about 200 pounds, but he's ripped.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I was gonna gamble, I put all my money on that Roman Reigns dude to run through that dude in a real fight.
Mm,
Not to
yeah.
say that Slimmy doesn't know some type of martial art or catch him. I'm saying on average, in
Yeah.
my opinion,
Yeah.
uh,
Roman's got 65 pounds on the guy.
yeah, and probably 100 more pounds of strength.
Hmm. And a few inches height wise as well. Roman's what, 6'5", somewhere around there? 265 pounds. So he's got height and weight advantage on him.
And I'm just assuming he's just gonna, roar and fight the guy. Roman Reigns might be Jackie Chan. I don't know. Might be a kung fu master or something too. Who knows?
Oh, you've seen Roman in the ring.
I'm talking about like I've seen him. That's what I mean. As super athletic as the guy is, and as powerful as he is, if you add a little Jeet Kune Do on top of that, mail him your lunch money every day so he doesn't have to come ask for it.
He's just a big Samoan. He just crush you like all Samoans do.
And one of the things too, I mean, being able to absorb punishment is important too.
Now,
Uh,
here's a curveball. They could have Finn win the Universal title to get it out of the way for the Reigns versus Lesnar match and not have a title on the line. Paul Heyman is on the line because Heyman also represents Lesnar.
Lesnar and Roman Reigns.
He handles Lesnar's negotiations with WWE behind the scenes, as well as formerly doing so on camera. So they could. This is a curveball, and you don't put it past WWE because we know how Vince thinks at times, right? They literally could have Finn win that belt just to get it out of the way of the Lesnar and Roman feud and center the feud on Heyman.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Heyman's what Roman Reigns' manager or something.
Yeah,
All right, I don't like that.
and he formerly on screen was Brock Lesnar's manager.
All right.
And they've been playing up an angle: is Heyman working with Lesnar or isn't he? Kind of thing as well, which adds a other little twist to it.
All right, so let's go ahead and get into the Lesnar thing. Finn, you lost. Good show, buddy. All right, bring Brock Lesnar in. Who wins the match? Now,
Lesnar and
and is this going to be Brock's first match, or is he going to wrestle anybody in between then?
no, this is the feud they're setting up for Lesnar going forward.
And that's going to be his only
Absolutely.
match. Like he doesn't have an upcoming match against some other dude. Like
The
his
only,
first match back will be against Roman Reigns.
unless they decide they're going to do something with him and the Usos in between there, since the Usos are part of Roman's stable.
All right. So who do you think? Who do you think is going to win the match?
Take a while. Flip a coin. The Vince loves both guys. I couldn't tell you who they're going to have win that match. I mean, it's yeah, they've had matches where the two of them just beat the holy hell out of each other.
Biden's always worse, Fiend Dog.
Yeah, Vince
Vince
may
is
be a
bit.
Vince
Go
may
ahead.
be crazy when it comes to booking wrestling, but he is a conservative. He was a huge Trump supporter, so keep that in mind.
All right. So before we get into the real fight, because that's an easy 1 second answer, I think that it's a pretty interesting match because what I understand about Roman Reigns is he's like one of the most popular wrestlers that has ever lived. Like everybody loves Roman Reigns,
Since he's turned heel anyway.
and so he puts a lot of butts in the seats and gets a lot of eyes on the TVs.
So does Lesnar.
That's the problem, though. Everybody wants to see Lesnar, but everybody in the back of their head knows it's only a matter of time before he disappears again. So how long do we have for Lesnar? Does he win the title and then never wrestle again? Or does he win the title, wrestle a year later, and then never wrestle again? How much time and effort is Brock Lesnar going to put into being a wrestler again?
Yeah, you'll have if they do the Lesnar versus Reigns thing in Saudi, you'll see that match in Saudi. You'll see Lesnar defend the title maybe at Survivor Series, and then you won't see him until January for the Royal Rumble. And then after that, you won't see him again until March or April for WrestleMania. That's just how Lesnar rolls. And
Right, but he could also roll out for a couple years too,
yep.
and he could
Well,
also get hurt in 10 seconds.
yeah, if he's going to roll out for a couple of years and go back to UFC, there's no way in hell they're going to put any championship on him
I
because
don't
Vince
see him.
already knows that's happening, and he's not going to have his championship disappear for 3, 4 years because Lesnar decides he's going to go do the UFC thing.
I don't think Dana White will have him back in the UFC. I don't think Brock will go back to fighting. He's not. He's not healthy enough for it.
That didn't
Yeah.
stop Holyfield.
Well, but the difference is Brock Lesnar might die. He's got like liver infections or some kind of craziness going on in like
Well,
with his organs or
he
whatever.
had diverticulitis, and that's controlled. That he hasn't had any issues with that for years because they corrected that with surgery.
I thought he had some like failing kidneys or something too.
Not that I know of. The only thing I knew of the abdominal region was his diverticulitis.
You know, you might be. You're probably right then. I might have just made the rest of that part up. Okay, but then, maybe if
Yeah,
if if he's not as seriously medical conditions as I
yeah.
thought, then maybe
But
he could
getting
go
into
back.
wrestling, any of that kind of condition, getting into a wrestling ring would be just as dangerous as getting into a UFC ring.
Right. Oh man, that's a tough one. I would pick Brock Lesnar because I like Brock. Apparently, Fiend Dog's not a fan of Reigns either.
I like Reigns. I'm sorry, I do.
I don't have a problem with him. He seems like a pretty good star. Uh, from what media personally, he seems like a decent person too. Uh, I just prefer Brock Lesnar. Yeah, and in a real fight, Roman Reigns better keep his mouth shut. Brock Lesnar will kill him.
I'm not going to argue that one. I, I still remember when Lesnar was on Stone Cold's podcast a couple years ago. He's like, and Stone Cold asked me, "Is there anything that's ever humbled you?" And he said, "A whitetail deer will humble you in a heartbeat."
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, Lesnar did not hesitate. That was his answer. The only thing that's ever humbled him was a whitetail deer. That is funny if you think about it.
Well, you can
But
think, I
yeah,
mean,
a whitetail will fuck your day up.
well, it could also be him sitting up in a tree stand for 12 hours and then one
Hmm.
walking by and him missing,
Yeah, that too.
you know.
But he was
I,
talking about in the sense of in a fight or anything along those lines, and he looked at him and said, "A white-tailed deer will humble you in a heartbeat."
oh, yeah, yeah. I'd never mess with a deer, ever. I hit one with my truck a couple of years ago. I wasn't going very fast, and I'm sitting there looking at this deer on the side of the road. I was like, why don't you either going the other way or crossing as I'm getting closer to it? I said, you know what, you're gonna jump out in front of me. You're going to jump out in front of me. And I was going maybe 25, 30 miles an hour.
Hmm.
And sure enough, that bastard jumped right out in front of me. And I popped on the brakes and I bumped him pretty good. I didn't like hit him hard or nothing like that. Like it didn't dent my car or break a headlight or nothing. He lays over in the ditch and he's just laying there. So I call up my boss. I'm like, hey man, I might have a dead deer if you want to come get this meat. He's pretty huge. And he just wasn't available. So I get out of the car and just don't ever do this, by the way. I walked up to him and I got maybe, 10 or 15 feet away from him. And he jumped up and took off running. And I was like, thank God he
Hmm.
went the other way. Because if that deer would have came to me, he'd have killed me. There's
Oh
no
yeah,
way I could.
they said they will fuck your day up.
Yeah, and
Like,
this one had big horns and everything.
yeah. Well, you saw what happened to my wife's car when the deer t-boned her.
Oh yeah, I've had it happen to me before with little babies. Uh, Not like a baby, but like a smaller doe or something like that, like a new
Hmm.
teenage doe, I guess it would be, run right into the side of my truck one time.
Yeah. Well, she had those out there who may not know what happened a few years ago when this was when we were still living at the other house. This is like the winter before we moved up here. I want to say the deer t-boned her and dented in the car on the driver's side from the front of the passenger driver's side front door to the back of the driver's side rear door, completely dented in the whole door and completely smashed the rear view mirror. Fiend Dog said he had to shoot a deer in self defense. I can believe it. That deer can be nasty. They ain't the ones you see in the petting zoo.
Can you imagine? Like, I know people talk tough all the time about humans because humans are fairly predictable. Like, that's why fighters are so good at what they do, is because they know
Hmm.
what's going to happen when you move, but you have no idea what this animal's about to do. And if you got to defend yourself against a deer, man, like that's got to be terrifying.
That's why they
I don't see how you could be like calm, cool, and collected while that's happening.
Yeah, that's why they tell you never to have a wild animal as a pet. Look what happened to was it Siegfried or Roy? These are animals that they had been around since lions and tigers were just little cubs, and the one tore the shit out of them. You never know what a wild animal is going to do. There is absolutely no way to predict what they're going to do, which makes the county fairs back in the old days when people would freaking alligator wrestle and bear wrestle even crazier. That's not something that I would want to be involved in. Who thought it was a good idea? I mean, really, to have a creature like a bear. with the claws on those damn things and the teeth on those things and be like, you know what? I think it's a good idea to put one of them in a wrestling ring.
I get bit by my dog all the time. He bit me in the face the other day. Uh, Peyton, before she died, bite me in the arm constantly. Uh, right now, Chance will run, jump up on my bed, and when he goes to jump off my bed, he'll bite my forearm and scrape his teeth off. I mean, I get bit all the time by my dogs, and it sucks every time. And they're playing or
Mm-hmm.
overly excited. Like the other day, I took his toy from him and I said, "Give me kisses," and he jumped up and bit me in the chin. But that's what he does when he gets super super excited. Like if you get him overly excited too fast, and he's got to
Right.
think like I hid the ball, so he's trying to figure out where the ball is and what I want. He'll bite you when instead of licking you. If I'd have sat down and handed him the ball and said, "Give me a kiss, buddy," he'd have walked up and lick. But since I had him all jacked up, I was like, "Give me a kiss," and he jumped up and bit me in the face.
Yeah. It's a playful nip, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah, but he had my whole. It was more than a nip. He had my whole chin in his mouth. Like he
Yeah.
he got me, which I was surprised too, because normally it's just like you said, it's that nip with the front teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Just he just and it caught me right in the mouth,
Yeah,
man.
he may have misjudged. There's one thing with dogs is they don't have the best ability to judge distance and height, so he may have misjudged his jump.
Well, that's the problem. When I sit down, they'll nip on my chin like with the front teeth. I made him jump up, and
Hmm.
so that might have been what the deal was. Like you're saying, he just wasn't thinking. Hurt like crap, man.
Oh yeah. Now imagine if that was a bear. You wouldn't have a chin, you know?
If my dog wanted, I wouldn't have a chin.
Yeah. Well, your dog was
if
playing.
Chance
I'm
if
talking.
Chance wanted to attack, like
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know that. I mean, but I'm saying if a bear did the same thing playing, you wouldn't have a chin.
yeah, no, the bear would eat you faster than the dog easily. Like the bear could kill you with one swipe. The dog is going to take a couple chomps before he kills you.
Right. Which is why I would never want to be one of these idiots out there wrestling a bear.
Mm-mm, no,
No.
no.
It's like, what the hell is wrong with these people? They think that's a good idea. I think we can quit showing that now.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
How the hell did we even get onto that? Oh, we're
Brock
talking about
Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that was crazy. Oh, there is a new WWE champion, by the way.
I thought Roman Reigns was a champion.
Now he's the Universal champion.
Too many belts, man. All right, so which champion are we talking about now?
We're talking about the one that Bobby Lashley had.
Okay, he had it, meaning somebody beat him and took it.
Yep,
Oh
Mister
yeah.
Money in the Bank cashed in his cashed in the briefcase and beat Lashley in a match on last Monday.
Who had the money in the bank this time?
Big E, Big E had it. One of the Bootios guys.
Oh, gee.
So yeah, one
Now,
of the
did he cheat like the other guy did and waited till
no,
the guy was in the middle of a match and been wrestling for 20 minutes to come and throw the money in?
no. He waited until after Lashley had a match against Drew McIntyre, and they came down to the ring and challenged Lashley to a match. And basically, they cashed it. They had their match right then and there, and he beat Lashley.
So Lashley was fresh and was like, "Yeah, I want it. Come on and get it."
Well, he had just had a match, but he still, he took the challenge, and Big E cashed in and won.
Uh,
Yeah, he didn't sucker him or anything. He just came down and challenged him to a match after that match, and he won. So yeah, that is two out of three members of New Day that have held the WWE title now, and are two out of the three members are now WWE Grand Slam champions. That means at one time you had to have held tag team titles, Intercontinental title, U.S. title, and one of the world titles.
Who was the last Money in the Bank guy? That wasn't for the same belt, was it?
The Money in the Bank holder can challenge for whatever belt they want.
Didn't somebody else just win? The guy that cheated?
No, that was a couple years ago.
I thought it was like a couple weeks ago that I was all pissed off because that guy came
Yeah,
in.
you were, but that was we were talking about something happening like in 2015.
Oh, okay. I thought that was like the other day.
No, no, that
No,
was a while ago.
no.
That
I was just kidding about all that stuff then.
yeah, that was way back when Lesnar and Reigns were fighting each other at WrestleMania for the WWE title, and Rollins came down and cashed in the Money in the Bank match in the middle of their match.
Yeah, that's cheating.
It, under the rules of the Money in the Bank, it's perfectly legal.
That's legal to cheat.
That's not cheating. It's the rules of the contract.
That's
That's why the Money in the Bank's such a
no,
big deal. You can
no,
cash it in whenever you want.
no, Gavin Newsom. No, shoplifting's
No,
shoplifting, whether or
no,
not you
no,
make it
no,
legal
no.
or not.
Take it up with Chris Jericho. He's the one that came up with the idea. Until they
I'm not
retconned
saying
that.
that it's not
Here's the
permissible.
best part. Jericho goes over and he's with AEW now. So this year going into the Money in the Bank, they retconned it. Jericho isn't the one that came up with it. That it was Edge that was the one that came up with it.
All right.
They changed history because Jericho's with the competitor now.
But no, but stop trying to skirt the issue. Fess up to your problem here. It's still cheating.
It's not cheating.
It's cheating. No, no.
it's
It
not cheating. That's the way the briefcase was designed to work. It's not cheating.
the briefcase legalizes cheating.
It's not if it's legal. It's not cheating.
No, it's still cheating. It's just
It's not
not.
cheating if it's legal.
It's just not penalized anymore. That's what I said, Gavin. It's still shoplifting, even though you're not going to put him in jail for it.
No, that's a totally different situation because that's not legal. They're just not doing their job and throwing them in jail. That's
So
a
if
totally different
so
situation.
if I went out
Yeah.
and grabbed that.
The Money in the Bank match briefcase is it's a sanctioned match and a get out of jail free card all in one.
The
It's not
Kojo
cheating.
MKJO came through, sanctioned cheating. You gonna join Antifa or something next?
You know, I just had a thought. If it wasn't professional wrestling, everybody who's a professional wrestler at one point or another would have been guilty of committing assault and battery.
Oh, attempted murder? I mean, jeez.
You know, whacking somebody in the head with a chair. Yep, you're going to prison for 20 years.
Imagine the Great Muda under the Coco Ono.
Oh my, yeah, they outlawed that over in Japan. There's he still wrestles occasionally under his real name and under the Muda name. Keiji Muda was his real name, and then the Great Muda was his heel name. And he's not allowed to use the mist right now. There's a guy in he wrestles for a bunch of the different ones over. He's wrestled for Pro Wrestling Noah, All Japan and New Japan off and on for the past few years. And then you got Bushi, who's in New Japan. He can't use the mist. That's something that he's used. So yeah, they've already done away with the anybody being able to use the mist because of COVID.
Abdul the Butcher during the HIV crisis.
That was already a thing. It was already there. You know? Do you know why Abdullah had to retire? Because he was giving people freaking hepatitis C. So yeah,
I don't doubt it.
yeah. Um, hell, man, you had freaking goddamn Bruiser Brody legitimately murdered in the showers in an arena in Puerto Rico, and nobody went to prison for it, even though everybody knew who did it.
All right. Yeah.
You know, speaking of Abdullah, him and Brody were arch rivals of each other. Brody never held a world heavyweight title on U.S. soil.
That's what I liked about wrestling is the it's how do I describe it? The superhuman type of guy and the spectacle of a guy and the regular everyday Joe Schmo who just got off his job driving a truck. Now he's gonna come wrestle. It works so good. And then they went with all the action figure superhero type of guys. Like you have to be Hunter Hearst Helmsley in order to be a wrestler nowadays. You have to be, super jacked up and giant and all this kind of stuff for the males. I mean, like, the females don't count, but I don't know. Like the
Not
UFC was the same way when they had the first original UFC fights. You had regular dudes coming in there and winning some matches, and some of them getting hurt really, really bad. Now they're all professional fighters. You know what I mean?
hmm
Like it's not like a tough man competition anymore. Like, I guess that's the way like wrestling used to be. Is like the tough guys come out and wrestle and kick each other's butts. Like the Road Warriors used to say. Now it's these super giant freaks who somehow can be 300 pounds and do backflips and stuff.
Well, that's WWE. If you look at some of the other places like the Japanese wrestling and AEW, Impact, the NWA, they don't they don't care so much about body image as what Vince McMahon does. Vince McMahon, he just has this idea that a professional wrestler should be between 6'2" and 6'8" and weigh between 250 and 300 pounds and be chiseled out of granite. If you look at the other federations, that's not so much the case. But everybody knows WWE because WWE's got the big spotlight, right? So that's what AEW and the others are trying to change. They're trying to change that image back. And remember, WWE is not professional wrestling; that's sports entertainment. If you say pro wrestling in front of Vince McMahon, he gets pissed off. Everybody that has ever spoken about Vince McMahon has stated that since he said everything sports entertainment back in the 90s, do not call it professional wrestling in his presence. You will get your ear chewed off.
Well, see, I mean, I don't know about his personal attitude toward things, but just the basis idea, it makes a lot of sense because it's actually a tip of the hat to professional wrestlers and collegiate wrestlers and Olympic wrestlers to call it sports entertainment. I get what he's doing. He got stuck in a branding issue. So that
Mm-hmm.
was all a branding thing that he did. But aside from that, it seems if I'm going to make up a bright side, then it's hey, we're not really wrestlers. Those guys over there, they're really wrestling. They're getting it in. We're here to entertain you and put on a good show. I still think you should call it pro wrestling. I mean, it's stupid, but
It's been pro wrestling since the 1800s. You know, that's when you first saw it popping up at the county fairs and everything was way back in the 1800s. You know,
and if you want to get super technical, there is no such thing as professional wrestling.
no, there isn't. The closest would be UFC. You know what I mean? Or one of the other MMA things.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that there's pro leagues out there that amateurs can wrestle in, but even the UFC, if you walk into the UFC as an Olympic wrestler, and that's all you've ever done is wrestle, and you don't know how to throw a punch, you're gonna get hurt.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, the highest tier for Greco-Roman freestyle wrestling is the Olympics. After the Olympics, there really isn't anything. That's why you have a lot of those guys that go into pro wrestling.
I don't think the Olympics should be professionals. I get
Oh,
it.
there aren't any.
It's more entertaining to see professionals perform in the Olympics, but I
Well,
think
there aren't any professional
no,
wrestlers
I'm
in the
talking about
Olympics.
all of the Olympics. Like
Yeah,
all the sporting events have professional athletes in it now. Hockey, football, baseball. Well, not they don't do football, but basketball, snowboarding, skateboarding, skiing. All these they're not amateurs anymore.
yeah.
But like I said, it's more entertaining. It gets views and all that stuff, and it sells tickets.
Well, there's a
I'd rather
reason.
see
There was
amateurs
a
do it.
there was a reason why they started letting the professionals in, and that's because the Soviets basically had a professional league, but they were calling it an amateur league, and they were sending per, actual professional athletes into the Olympics, whereas everybody else was sending college kids.
Yeah, they should have just banned Russia. Grow
Mm.
some balls and ban Russia.
Well, they did, and then they just went and formed. They banned Russia, but then they still let Russian athletes compete in the last Olympics under a different name. But it was still Russia. It was still the same people that were competing.
Well, they what did they refuse to come to the Mitt Romney Olympics because we refused to go to the Moscow Olympics? I think it was the Moscow
No,
Olympics, and then the next one was the one that
the
in
Moscow
Utah.
the Moscow Olympics and the Winter Olympics were the same year. So the Winter Olympics were actually before the Moscow games.
Yeah, and we
That was
refused to go.
yeah, that was before, but that was before they alternated them. We
Well, the
refused to
next, the
go.
next, the next
Yeah,
one coming up was the Utah one, the
no,
Mitt
well,
Romney
no,
one.
no, that was before it. The Mitt Rom, the if you're talking about the Winter Games, that was before it because the Winter Games always took place before the Summer Games that year. The Olympics that we boycotted was the '80 Moscow Games, and that was because of the invasion of Afghanistan. And
Yeah,
then the next Olympics after that that were in the U.S. were the LA Summer Games, and that's the one that the
that's
Eastern
it.
Bloc boycotted.
That's it. Yeah, that was way before Mitt Romney. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, no, Romney had something to do with the Utah the '80 Winter Games. That was the ones in Lake Placid, wasn't it?
Right. No, I'm talking about
Yeah.
you. When I say the Romney Olympics, I'm
Yeah.
talking about the one where he basically got credit for saving the
Right.
Olympics.
Right. I know what you're
That
talking
was
about. Yeah.
like what 94 or 92 or something like that.
Yeah. Something like that. But yeah, the the '80 Winter Olympics were in Lake Placid. That's where the Miracle on Ice happened, where the U.S. team made up a bunch of college guys beat the Soviet powerhouse team. The first time that anybody had beaten the Russians in what, a decade or longer in amateur play, because that was actually a professional team that the Russians had. And then they beat the who was it, the Swedes for the gold medal that year. But the U.S. team wasn't supposed to beat either one of those teams, which is why it's the Miracle on Ice. And the call of that, Al Michaels at the end of the game, do you believe in miracles? As the clock is hitting zero. Uh, One of the greatest calls in sports ever. But yes, and then it was then right after that was the um, where we boycotted the Moscow games because of the Afghan invasion, in which was in '79, and then in retaliation, the next Olympics in the U.S. again was in '84 in L.A., and the Russians boycotted that, along with everybody else in the Western bloc, in the Eastern Bloc, which is why you had Mary Lou Retton just like run away with the gold medal in gymnastics because she had no competition because anybody that was going to be in competition to her didn't show up. You know, they don't tell you that part. They just tell you that the U.S. dominated everything. Well, yeah, because anybody that would have been in competition didn't show up for the Olympics that year. I mean,
That's funny.
yeah, but it's the truth if you look at it. You didn't have East Germany show up. You didn't have Russia show up. You didn't have Romania show up. You didn't have Hungary, Bulgaria. None of those guys showed up.
Most of the funniest stuff is true.
Yeah. You didn't have Poland. I mean, you didn't have any of the big Eastern Bloc teams show up to compete that year. Of course, the U.S. was going to run away with everything. Who did you think was going to win? France?
All right.
When the hell was the last time France won a medal in gymnastics or pole vaulting or anything else for that matter? What the hell is that? That's an interesting question. Somebody should look that up. When was the last time France won a gold medal in any Olympic sport?
Bet you that Macron guy probably won a medal in the high jump the other day when Joe Biden told him to get stepping. What was that gun? Did you watch Snobby's premiere? Was that the G2C by Taurus that he was shooting?
No, he didn't. The only Taurus he has is the that new one, the GX4.
That's the little one, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's the
Yeah.
little one. They're one that's smaller than the G2 and G3.
Yeah,
The
that's like the 365 comparison.
Yeah,
Junk.
well, he likes it. So it can't be too much junk because Snob is a firmly anti-Taurus, and he liked that.
Yeah, but he loves the 365 too. Sorry, Buck. I'm sure Buck's still out there, but I know Buck likes it.
I'm carrying my 365 right now, man. What's your problem?
Yeah, but you think that cheating's not cheating as long as you don't enforce it.
It's not cheating if it's within the rules, man.
The rule is we legalize cheating.
You just come out and challenge. You're challenging for the title whenever you want. That's not cheap. Hell, there's a title, the 24/7 title that gets defended anywhere and everywhere. You could be walking down the street next thing you know, and you're getting pinned and losing your championship.
I feel like I heard of that. I feel like the 24/7 title is something I've heard of before. I might
Yeah,
not have, but I feel like I have.
yeah. They used to have it where it was called the hardcore title, but then they got rid of that and they brought back basically the same principle, but it's more of a joke kind of thing now.
Maybe because I feel like somebody was sitting down eating dinner and he got like cross body blocked in the middle of a restaurant and pinned.
Yeah, yes, that has happened.
Hey, there's Buck.
Hmm.
Shilling for the 365. I like Sig. I mean, I've got three of them. I sold the 365.
I'm so disappointed right now.
Hey man, that's all right. Is there anything going on in the other TV shows?
Yeah, you basically got a pay-per-view that's going to be on regular TV on Wednesday with AEW's. What the hell are they calling? Damn, I can't remember what the hell they're calling it now. But it's one of their special episodes of Dynamite that they do every so often instead of a pay-per-view. Kind of like how WCW had the Clash of Champions.
All right, hold up.
See if I can find
What's
that.
next Saturday's date? Do you know?
Next Saturday's the 25th.
25 is next Saturday.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So, what channel does this television show go on?
What, AEW? It's on TNT.
What's Grand mean? Do you know?
TNT.
No, what's
Oh,
Makojo?
Grand Slam. Yeah, it's AEW Dynamite Grand Slam.
All
That's
right,
the name of the show.
TNT. We got the same cable. What channel do you watch it on?
Oh Christ, I'm not even sure because I just tell my remote what channel to go to.
You got that Xfinity shit, right?
Yeah, here, I'll check real quick. TNT.
Well, Makojo's out there too. He lives pretty much like a
It's
half an
on
hour.
if it the HD version's on 825.
825
Yeah,
TNT. Okay, I'll figure it out from there. And it's Wednesday.
Wednesday at 8.
8 p.m. Eastern, the only time zone that matters. All right.
Yeah, they're
That's
coming
right
from.
after Rick's show.
Yeah, the reason they're calling it Grand Slam, it's going to be in Arthur Ashe Stadium in Queens, which is where they have the U.S. Open and other kind of tennis stuff.
Why do they call it the AIDS Stadium?
Because he wasn't gay.
Yeah, he still had AIDS.
I know.
Yeah, but he
He got
was
it.
gay.
No, he wasn't gay. He got it from a blood transfusion.
I thought he was gay too.
No,
I,
no, he was married and had multiple kids.
for
If
some reason,
if he was anything, it wasn't gay.
and I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I knew that he had the blood transfusion and got AIDS, but I just thought he was also homosexual.
No, no, he had multiple kids and shit, and he had cheated on his wife at one point. So yeah, no, no. This guy, if it was
With
anything,
a dude.
he loved the women.
Oh, right. Okay. I just thought that.
Yeah,
Black Lives Matter uh, destroyed his statue. Yeah.
who Arthur Ashe's statue?
Yep.
Makes perfect sense. Black Lives Matter destroy a black guy's statue.
Oh, you didn't? Did you hear about the what was the Glory, the 54th Regiment, the that made the movie Glory about?
Yeah, something like that. Max, the 54th Massachusetts, I think.
Yeah, they destroyed that one too.
Yeah. Again, uh, why are we surprised by this?
Oh, we're
They,
not.
they tore down the statue of Lincoln because apparently, according to Black Lives Matter, Lincoln was a racist.
Those idiots in Virginia took down a Robert E. Lee statue,
Hmm.
and it took them all day to do it. And then they spent all the rest of the day looking for some time capsule thing that was supposedly supposed to be somewhere there under the statue or whatever. I don't know.
Hmm.
And then they eventually just quit.
Never mind the fact that Lee was actually an abolitionist whose father tried giving him slaves, and he told his dad, don't do it, because I'll just let him go." Lee did not join the Confederacy because he believed in slavery. Lee joined the Confederacy because Virginia joined the Confederacy.
Well,
Back,
I think the nuance is where people really get mixed up in the whole what the Civil War was fought over, because a lot of people want to focus on states' rights and the soldiers and
hmm
the officers and the people who died and the people who actually fought and what they were fighting for and what they believed, and that's completely irrelevant. I mean, in the conversation that we're having over the government fought the Civil War over the expansion of slavery. Period.
hmm
I
and
mean,
yeah, the reason why Lee joined the Confederacy is because Virginia joined the Confederacy, and back then, people felt more patriotism towards their individual states than they did to the Union in general. So you had a lot of guys that joined the Confederacy as far as officers and soldiers because their home state did, not because they believed in what they were necessarily the Confederacy was stood for on slavery or anything along those lines. They did it because their home state did it. And the perfect example of that's Robert E. Lee.
yeah, I'm sure if you could go back in time and survey all the men on the battlefield on both sides and say, "Hey, what do you think about this slavery thing?" They'd be like, "I don't give a shit about that slavery. I'm getting ready to go shoot this guy because he's trying to take my state away from me." I bet you a good portion of them would be like, "Slaves? We got slaves here? I didn't know that."
Mm-hmm. You remember the argument me and Squib got into on this show when we were talking about Gettysburg.
Yeah, you and Squib have had a couple good ones.
Huh?
So you and Squib have had a couple good ones.
what else we got? I think there's a pay per view coming up for Impact not too long. Impact does a pay per view every time you turn around. I think they're competing with WWE to see who can have the most pay per views.
There he is, the only president to turn the military on his people. The Abraham Lincoln thing.
You know, it's very complicated when you look at what was going on at the time. And he he was trying to keep the country together and a bunch of other shit. I mean, and the South attacked first. Let's not forget that. And no matter what Squib wants to think on the situation, Fort Sumter was sovereign U.S. territory. The South Carolinians had no right to try and evict them. And when they attacked the fort, that was an act of insurrection. That was an actual legitimate act of insurrection.
For
Unlike
call
what
Nancy
everybody thinks.
Pelosi.
Yeah, call Nancy Pelosi. We found an act of insurrection that she's been looking for.
Wait a minute, no, they're Democrats. They're Democrats. That wasn't insurrection. That was
Yeah,
patriots.
that's true. The Southern Democrats were the ones responsible for all that. And that is not just hyperbole. If you look at the political map from 1860, the South was predominantly Democrat.
Somebody years ago, somebody was screaming at me about the Southern strategy and the flip of the Republicans or the racist slave owners now, and you know how that stuff goes.
Hmm.
I said, when was the Republican Party founded? They didn't, obviously they didn't have the answer, and they thought I was lying when I told them that Abraham Lincoln was the first Republican president.
Hmm. The
And he was shot.
Republican,
He was shot
the,
by a Democrat.
yeah, the Republican Party was founded in the 1850s out of the ashes of the Whig Party. They were an abolitionist party from the beginning. Well, a lot of things people don't realize is that the Republican Party weren't the only ones that were abolitionists, which is why the South decided they were going to take their ball and go home because they saw the writing on the wall. Because you had Democrats in the North that were going to vote abolitionist. It wasn't just solely the Republican Party in the North that was voting against slavery. But to hear people from the other side tell it, it was just the Republicans, and it's not true. You had the Southern Democrats against everybody else in the House and Senate. And when Republicans took control by a slim margin, you had a lot of the Democrats in the North flip from pro-slavery representatives and senators who were replaced by abolitionists. And remember, at the time, the Senate was not picked by the population; the Senate was picked by the state legislatures. As you had more state legislatures go abolitionist, you had more senators therefore that were pro abolition. And it was a snowball rolling down a hill. It just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And when Lincoln got in there, they finally had a president that was going to sign an abolitionist bill. And that was the straw that broke the camel's back for the Democratic South.
What do you think about the senator thing? Do you think that it should still be a popular vote or whatever you want to call it?
If it was legislatures electing the senators, we would have a Republican controlled Senate right now.
Well, by far.
And it would be one less political office in each state, or two less offices in each state on the national, as far as national politics are concerned, where we could have had the shenanigans that we had in 2020.
Yeah,
Um,
I've never really given it much thought. I knew that they switched it up, but I've never really thought
it
much
was,
on
yeah,
whether it's a good thing, a bad thing, or all that. But I do know that if you took all the elected Republicans and put them on one side of a field, and then all the elected Democrats all over the country, all up and down the ticket. There's way more elected Republicans in this country than there are Democrats.
Yeah, on this, if when you look at the states, there are more states with Republican-controlled legislatures than there are Democrat. It's just the ones that have the Democrats are also the largest states. They changed it when the progressives started gaining control of the government way, way back in the early 1900s. That was one of the first things the progressive movement did was change that to where it was a popular vote instead of the state legislatures appointing the senators, because that took away some of the state's power. That was one of, if not the main check that the states had on the federal government was the appointing of U.S. senators. And they were also able to recall the U.S. senators if the senators did not vote the way the state legislators wanted them to. When they passed, I believe it was the 17th Amendment, they did away with all of that and it diminished its powers in the states drastically.
That's the one thing that boggles my mind listening to some political conversations is people really have no idea what they're talking about, and they're like a dog chasing a car, and then when they finally catch the car, they don't know what to do with it. And that's not just a saying. This this dude that I watched his trucks for, they got a dog, and you can drive a car and the trucks all around, and the dog doesn't care. But he's got one of those like gator type of deals. When he gets in that thing, the dog attacks the tire the whole time he's driving. Just as soon as he stops, the dog stops and doesn't know what to do anymore. But if he moves, as soon as he stops, the dog chills. So people get all jazzed up when you try to explain this is how politics works and this is how you got to play politics. Well, if you don't want to do that, then just admit that it's all crap and let it go. But you can't get mad when it's like a football game. Everybody's got to go play their part and make the football game go forward. If the center wanted to be the quarterback, it's not going to work. I don't know. It just it doesn't make any sense how people haven't figured politics out yet.
Yeah. George Carlin used to tell a joke that he doesn't vote, and whenever people told him, "Well, you're to blame," he's like, "I'm not to blame. I didn't vote for that guy." And that's exactly. I always used to think to myself whenever he would tell a joke, "No, you're exactly the person to blame because you couldn't pull your head out of your ass long enough to make a decision, and your lack of making a decision is what gave us this problem."
I think at one point in time, obviously, voting, the idea of voting has always been really great. Uh, Throughout history, voting really hasn't mattered, and to say that voting matters is pretty ridiculous. I get it. I do it. Uh, I think that it has statistical information in there that can help, but the people that you're voting for were chosen for you to vote for. We didn't like we can pretend like we had a say, but AOC proved that we'll tell you who you get to choose, and
Well,
here
that's always the way it's
you get to
been.
choose AOC.
That's always the way it's been from the very beginning. If you read the Constitution, there is no constitutional right to a primary. The primaries are put on by the political parties, and they don't have to do it. There is nothing that legally requires there to be a primary. The
Right, but
primary, the,
that's the mental game. They do all that primary stuff and all that campaigning stuff so they can twist people's minds into thinking that you're picking me. Look, the people want me. No, you're who we were told this is who you want to pick. And then
Yeah.
now, I mean, with the Dominion machines and double votes and all that other kind of crap, I mean, your vote really doesn't mean anything right now.
The only time that the only constitutionally guaranteed vote is the general election. That's it. Every other election is not constitutionally guaranteed by the U.S. Constitution. Now you'll have state constitutions that'll specify local elections and that kind of thing on that level, and city and county documents on that level. But as far as even there, the primaries are not something that is required. That is, the parties could just say, nope, we're going to have this person as our candidate, and that's the way it's going to be, and that's the way it used to be. There, what if you look when you had all these the original presidents and whatnot running? They did not have primaries to determine that they were going to be the candidates. They were picked by the party they belonged to, and you got a choice of them or the other guy from the other party. That was it. You didn't have There was no primary back then. That didn't come about till much later.
I
And
don't
it's
know. I find, like I said, I find value in voting, but the illusion that your vote matters and it's going to come down to one vote and that could be your vote. That, I mean, that's propaganda.
No, it's happened on local elections. The odds of that happening on a presidential election are slim to none, but there have been local elections where that has happened.
Yeah, I've seen like small, close elections, local, big for local, like county or size local. It's come down like that, but I could imagine anything smaller on the county level and townships and all that. Every vote counts. If you've got, I mean, for whatever that means, it's a lot easier. That's why I think shrinking the government is the only answer. What our taxes are like too big of a government. We got military everywhere. Too big. Every answer, the first thing should be our government's too big.
No, the government was never meant to be this large.
Yeah.
But when they passed the 17th Amendment, and what we have now is when you see that's when you see all these bureaucracies start to pop up because the states had no control on that anymore. You did not. That's one of the reasons why the progressives wanted to get rid of the Senate being chosen by the state legislatures. It took away any ability that the states had to rein in the federal government becoming the bloated, out of control menace that it is. If they wouldn't have got rid of the 17th Amendment, there would be no ATF, there would be no IRS, there would be no this, no that, this, that, or the other. All these things came about because they got rid of the Senate being chosen by the state legislatures. That was the first thing they had to do, and they did with the 17th Amendment to the Constitution.
Well, Buck says, I wonder how many people will vote after what happened last year. Uh, what about what happened last week in California?
I lost my train of thought. I was going to say something. I forget what the hell it was now.
We were talking about voting in California and wrestling.
Yeah, I know what we were talking about, but there was something about before when you said about California, and there was something else I wanted to say, and I forget what it was. Shit.
Yeah, a bunch of Republicans had their votes already cast.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There were people going to the polls, and they were showing up. The computer was saying that they had already voted.
Joe Smith.
It was probably some illegal with their same social security number.
Joe Smith put out a video, and somebody else put out a video. I can't remember who it was, but Joe Smith is the one that gets the shout out. Uh, 2,800,000 blah 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 votes for the Republicans. 5 minutes later, 1.85 million votes. There's a lot of votes that just disappeared. Where did all those votes go?
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
can see the percentages changing, but not the vote tally.
Look how many people that they did show up and they got told that they had already voted.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like I
that's let them
said,
get away with it.
yeah, it's probably some illegal that had the same goddamn social security number that they stole from somebody. But remember, those are good people.
In California, they don't even got to do that. They know everybody's information. They can just sit at the
Hmm.
computer and say, "Rich White, you vote. Well, I tell you to vote for." Click, click.
Hmm.
Kingpin, click, click. MK Joe, click, click. Son of Grandpa, click, click. And then they tell the people at the ballots, we don't need 500,000 of those ballots. You can just throw all those away.
It's like born in East LA where the people are going through the line to get their new IDs from what's his face's character, and he's handing them, "You are now this person. You're from this place and that," and, he hands them the ID. It's a joke, but if you think about it, that's basically what's going on in California. They're letting these illegals and everything get driver's licenses. What's the security numbers are they using to get these driver's licenses?
Illegals can get bank accounts and
Hmm.
driver's licenses, and in some places, they can vote here in Maryland. And fat, sorry, disgusting, I won't say anymore because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Larry Hogan can't wait to accept more people from the southern border and more people from Afghanistan.
Oh yeah. Well, did you see all the Haitian refugees are being sent back to Haiti, but they're not sending any of the Mexicans back that they caught trying to cross this past weekend and um, down there in not this week, but, last weekend
Yeah.
down there on the Texas border. They caught a bunch of some couple thousand Haitians trying to cross the border. They're sending all of them back, but all the Mexicans they caught are still sitting there underneath the damn bridge.
Yeah, none of them have to get the ouch.
No, but they have to get that drug that Joe Rogan took to fight the COVID because of intestinal worms. But don't tell the media that because they tell you that stuff doesn't work to get anything. It's just horse paste.
Yeah, what they should say is COVID's fake, but they won't say that either.
I'm still trying to figure out what the hell it was I was going to say earlier. It's driving me nuts because I can't remember what the fuck it was. I completely lost my train of thought. It was like, damn it. It was a good point too, and I can't remember what it was now. It just poofed and flew away. Oh, well. It had something to do with the Senate and all that bullshit when we were talking about that. But anyway, if you really want to see, honestly, go look about the same time that the 17th Amendment was passed, and then look at all the shit that came after that. That was the beginning of all of this garbage. And if you don't know who the Progressive Party is, the Progressive Party back then was made up of both Republicans and Democrats, including Theodore Roosevelt. If you know anything about the Bull Moose Party, that was the Progressive Party. The Bull Moose Party was the Progressive Party, and the progressives are what we now know as liberals. You know what they were called before they were called progressives?
Socialist.
Yes, they were the Socialist Party. They were Flavian socialists. They were the American Socialist Party. The people caught on to what that meant. They changed their name to being the Progressive Party because progress. Who isn't in favor of progress and moving forward? When people started to catch on to that, they started calling themselves liberals, and they still do. When uh, Hillary Clinton called herself a early 20th century progressive, she literally at that point admitted that she was a socialist.
Well, I think she admitted that probably 100 times before in her life. She just said it out loud politically. I mean, Saul Alinsky was like her idol.
Yeah. And who did Saul Alinsky dedicate his novel to?
Like Karl Marx,
No.
Hitler,
Nope.
I don't know, Stalin.
Satan.
Nice.
Now, Rules for Radicals, he dedicated that to Lucifer, the first radical. And that is the book that Hillary Clinton says is her favorite book. Tells you a lot about the Clintons, doesn't it?
I think that's just the best right wing conspiracy. Hillary Clinton is perfect in
Uh-huh.
every way.
Kingpin's just trying to save his neck now. He doesn't want to be suicided in the back of the head with a 22. Oh man, Stephen Crowder. That reminds me. Stephen Crowder did a memorial for um, Jesus. Not can't remember the comedian that just died. Damn it.
Norm McDonald.
Yes, thank you. My brain is not fully functional tonight for some reason. I mean, I had it on the tip of my tongue and then I forgot again. But yes, he did a memorial for Norm Macdonald, and he was showing clips from when he appeared on all these different shows. And he said it took him forever to find clips from when he was on The View, from when he got banned from being on The View again, because YouTube had deleted all the comments. He had to look all over the internet to find this, and he said something about um, it was about the time when Bush beat Gore, and they were all mad because Bush was in the office, and he said something that they said something. He said they asked him what he thought, and he's like, "Well, I just think it's good we got all these murderers out of the White House." And they just looked at him like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, the Clintons. Didn't you know they killed people?" And they're like, "What are you talking about?" "Oh yeah, they had people killed. You didn't know about this?" Joy Behar, to her credit, was laughing her ass off at this, right? And the other women were all getting all pissed off, but it was hilarious. Honest to God, the one that was laughing is the one probably the other than Whoopi would be the least one you would expect to be laughing at him. But Joy Behar was just laughing her ass off because she, by profession, was a stand-up comedian before she was ever on The View and became somehow a journalist.
Yeah, she wasn't on the payroll yet.
Yeah, and she was laughing her ass off at Norm saying this stuff. Oh, the other women on that show, they were getting pissed off, and he ended up getting banned from the ever being on the View again because of it. But it was hilarious. Well, if you remember, he got banned from Saturday Night Live when he was doing the weekend update thing because they told him not to tell jokes about O.J. Simpson or Michael Jackson. So he just doubled down, and that's all he did was tell jokes about Michael Jackson and O.J. Simpson.
Yeah. What's his face? Lord Michael said, "No funny people on my show. You're fired."
Yeah. I mean, look at some of the people at that era that were on that weekend update desk, and they all got fired. Yeah, Dennis Miller, who was replaced by Norm Macdonald, who was replaced by or was what's his face? Shit, I can see his face and I can't think of his name either. But the three guys I'm thinking of were all fired from Saturday Night Live for telling jokes that they weren't supposed to on the weekend update desk. It was Dennis Miller, Norm Macdonald, and God damn it,
And David Spade wasn't.
David Spade wasn't on the weekend update desk. It was Jesus Christ, Kevin Nealon.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, all three of them were fired from Saturday Night Live because of telling jokes on the weekend update desk that they were told not to tell. One thing you don't want to do to a legit stand-up comedian is tell them not to do something.
Right.
They're gonna, you're just gonna make it worse on you. It, yeah, that was all three of those guys were fired because of jokes that they told on the weekend update desk. Yeah,
Me
it
and
was,
Kojo were gonna go watch some stand up in Nova Scotia.
yeah, as far as I know, Kevin Nealon was fired as well. But yeah, it was. I could be mistaken, but I believe he was fired for for a joke that he told on the weekend update desk because they wanted that to be a parody of the news. They didn't want, but they didn't want you going overboard with anything that some might offend somebody. And I forget what Miller did, but he told a joke that got him fired. And then they brought in it was either Nealon or um, McDonald that replaced him. I forget which one, and they got fired for a joke, and then the one that replaced them, got fired for a joke, and then I forget who the hell it was took over after that because that's about the time I stopped watching because that was about the time when everybody had any kind of funny was gone from the show. It was about the same time Adam Sandler left, Chris Rock left, Dana Carvey, Mike Myers, and KJO says it was Miller, Nealon, McDonald. But yeah. Yeah, that would be about right because that would have Nealon would have been before the OJ thing. Now I think about it, because that would have been what Nealon was doing it what like 91, 92.
Oh, I have no idea. I was never a big fan of this show.
Oh, there were times in history when that show was hilarious as hell.
But yeah, I can appreciate those, but I
Usually,
wasn't. I barely ever watched the actual show.
well, when Dennis Miller was on there, I primarily watched it for the weekend update. After weekend update, I would go to bed. If I wasn't watching Headbangers Ball, because Dennis Miller was like the funniest one on the show at that point. A lot of Dennis Miller's jokes, you got to know history, or the joke will go right over your fucking head. Which is the point. I mean, he intentionally does it. He was asked by Bill O'Reilly why he does that. His response is, "I want to see who the intelligent people in the room are." That was the only reason why I watched the O'Reilly Factor on Wednesday nights because that was the night that Dennis Miller was going to be on there. I love me some Dennis Miller. That dude is hilarious as hell.
Yeah, he does like the Miller Minute. Yeah, I haven't heard it in a while, but they used to play it on this radio station I listened to. Right, come on. I guess it was a minute long, and he'd just say something.
Yeah, can't find his podcast anywhere or his radio show, I should say. He did a radio show too at one point. I don't know if he's still doing it or not.
Um, I listened to uh the Chris Plant show from 9 to 12. 'cause that dude's pretty funny. I mean, he cucked out and he got the jab because he was told to, but he acts like he got it because he wanted to, and he did the research and whatever. But anyway, he does a pretty good show, and now that Bongino guy took over Rush's slot, I
Uh,
listen to it every once in a while,
yeah,
but not very often.
Dan Bongino, he's a good dude too. If you listen to him.
Yeah, he ran for some I can't even remember anymore. One of the elected offices in Maryland quite a few years back. I don't mind him. It's just
Oh,
they seem to be feeling it. You know what I mean?
have you ever seen the clips from Fox News when him and Geraldo get into it?
Yeah, Dan Bongino's a wild dude. Like I said, I don't got a problem with him. I just haven't been able to get into listening. After I hear Chris Plant, everybody's pretty much going to repeat what he said anyway. So
Yeah, about the time you said you're listening to Chris Plant, I'm watching Steven Crowder. My daughter got me the Blaze subscription for my birthday just so I can the Mug Club just so I can watch Crowder do the whole 2 hour show because he only does 1 hour of the show on YouTube, and then the second half of the show is only on the Blaze because then he gets into stuff that if he were to say it on YouTube he'd get banned, and they're already trying to ban his ass on YouTube as it is.
yeah, there's a lot of people that I watch that do half their stream on YouTube and then turn it off and go to other stuff.
The only reason why I have my Blaze subscription is just to watch Steven Crowder's from show.
I I can't really get into that either. I like just watching the clips of his stuff. I've never watched like an entire show.
You should watch the hour long things on YouTube one time and then or a couple of times and see if you like it. If you do, I get the Mug Club subscription, man. Because like I said, you can go. You don't have to watch it when it's live because they put them all on the Blaze where you can go back and watch the old episode or the episode from that day later on, like when you get home from work, what have you.
No, I'm good. Is he doing all right?
He's doing. He seems to be like he's okay. I mean, after his surgery and everything, he's not listening to his doctors because they told him not to go to work for like 4 weeks or so, and he went back to work after 2 weeks. And he keeps saying his doctors aren't happy with him for doing it, but
He'll be all right. MK Joe says he watches it, listens to O'Connor and Company. I can. I usually have that on until Chris comes on, just because it's easy that way. I don't gotta go find the radio and change the station when Chris comes on. But Larry's my least favorite. I like Vince. Mary, I miss Mary. Uh, uh, Vince Colonnese and this lady Mary used to be the morning show, Mary Walter, and then they switched it up after Rush died, and they started changing who was going to be where and all that kind of stuff.
mm,
And Mary quit, and Vince took the 3 o'clock show, and Larry went back to the 6 a.m. show. I think Mary quit because they forced the jab, and she was like, "Screw that, I'm not taking it." But I don't have any proof of that at all. But Mary and Vince were awesome together. Anyway. MK Joe knows what I'm talking about.
yeah, I don't do much listening to the radio anymore. I used to listen to Glenn Beck show all the time, but I got tired of listening to him when he started going on talking more about Israel than he was what was going on in the U.S. I'm like, yeah, I've had enough of this. Not that I'm against Israel, it got old real quick because it was like everything was Israel this, Israel that. I'm like, dude, I don't care.
This guy, Like at Barricade Garage does live streams all the time now, and sometimes I can put a headset in and listen to it if I have that ability at the time. Or usually what I'll do is when I end up working late, nobody else is around, so I'll just hit the replay because he says all kinds of different stuff that you can't have. Uh, it's not work professional. You know what I mean? So I can't have my speaker on real loud and have him talking about F this and N word and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
And he's funny, he's cool, but he talks how he wants to talk, I guess you could say. But he does an hour or something like that every couple days. And I can pop that in and listen to it and not have to listen to the crap on the radio. Music on the radio is trash. Every station.
Told you, you need to get serious, man.
Every station on Sirius is trash.
No, you got some good channels on there.
I just don't. I couldn't care less about music right now. I get the YouTube thing. I think about a song, I type in YouTube, and I watch it, and that works. But like listening to the songs on the radio, I pay attention too much, and I can pretty much tell you the order of the songs that they're going to play them in for every different DJ that comes on. And I don't care what station you pick, the rap station, the country station, the rock station, all of it. That's what I like about the talk radio is the randomness of what somebody might say is different than what I know they're going to play the wall next. And I know they're going to play Hotel California after that. Then they're going to go to 4.5 minutes worth of commercials. Then they're going to come back with uh, Fog on the Water or whatever that song
Smoke
is.
on the water.
Yeah. And the
Yeah.
country stations, yeah, I could tell you the Mayans couldn't develop a calendar better than I could predict what songs they're going to play on the country stations.
Sirius doesn't work that isn't that bad because you don't have the commercials first off, which is nice. You don't have to. But they do get some damn talkative ass DJs on there at times.
Yeah.
But then you can always put on a different channel and you don't have to worry about that. And there's channels if you get Sirius and you use the app that aren't on the rate on the satellite part itself. You can only get them by using the. Well, you remember when we drove up from BC? I was using my phone when we were listening to Sirius in the car.
Yeah, I had one of the original Sirius radios, like when they first came out, before they
Yeah,
merged and all that kind of stuff. Like right after they hired Howard Stern, before he went live, I bought one.
I never could stand him.
I liked him. I thought he was funny. I didn't really care for all the hookers and lesbians and Symbian rides and all that kind of crap, but the comedy part of it, I liked.
Yeah, I was never a fan of his. I never found him funny, to be honest.
I always enjoyed him yelling at one of his staff members or his staff members fighting with each other, but that it got old pretty quick.
And my brother used to be a big fan of his. Like, dude, he sucks. He's like, he's the king of. I'm like, dude, he fucking sucks. I told him no uncertain terms what I thought about Howard Stern one day.
It's shameful what's happened to him. I mean, he's never been a good person, uh,
No.
ever. He's always been a horrible person. But he used to stand up for free speech. He was super pro gun. Uh, like everybody carry a gun. Like, yep,
Hmm.
no dumb stuff, no stupid law. Everybody, if you want some tanks, where's some tanks at? Uh, and then I don't know. He's just 100%. Maybe he's gonna come out and say he identifies as a different gender next. I always knew he was shitty politics. That's what I didn't understand. Is he was pro gun and pro free speech, but he was pro Hillary Clinton,
Hmm.
and he ran as a Democrat in New York, and he's rich.
Hmm.
So he knows that all his policies are going to take a whole bunch of money out of his pocket.
Damn. Speaking of that, did you see Bill Maher's comments about the AOC's dress at the Metropolitan Museum gala thing?
No, before I used to have a modicum of respect for Bill Maher. I used to watch that HBO show, The Real Time.
Hmm.
I'd record it and watch it the next morning, and didn't agree with much of what he said, but I appreciated him saying it and the way he said it. Some of his stuff was a little funny here and there, and he always had interesting guests. And then when he just went total Trump retard, you know, I can't. I've got no respect for him. But no, I didn't hear what he said.
He said it's about time that the Democrats stop with this bullshit that the rich don't pay taxes.
Yeah, the rich are the only people that pay taxes.
Hmm. Oh, he's been going off on the left lately. He's it's like he's now he's got Biden derangement syndrome. It's morphed. I mean, he has literally been tearing into the left lately.
Because he got out of favor somewhere.
Hmm.
Somewhere, see, the old guard is not in charge anymore. They're just holding on, and he's not a part of this new crowd. And he's understanding. Wait a second, all this stuff that I want to do to everybody else, they're going to do to me too. He knows. He knows he's moments away from being canceled. Look at the
Oh yeah.
when he dropped the N bomb, and he had to have Ice Cube on to apologize. 5 years before that, he'd have come out and been like, "Screw all of you. I was making a
Hmm.
joke. Shut up. If you don't like it, change the channel. Fire me. I dare you."
Well, a lot of that I think is he's not producing his own show himself anymore, like he was when it was
Because
politically incorrect.
he sold out.
Hmm.
He got that big paycheck,
Yeah. Well, he got
and
fired by ABC, and then he got picked up by HBO. And when you're on HBO, you got to toe the line.
he couldn't wait to.
Hmm.
The rebel that he is, he couldn't wait to be a slave.
If you go back and watch reruns of Politically Incorrect and you watch Real Time, they're two totally different shows.
Yeah, he's jumped.
Yeah, all I'm saying though is that he has been coming out heatedly against the left lately.
Well,
He's called them he's called them an embarrassment.
he's always been willing to look at his own side and point the finger a little bit, and he's
Hmm.
always been super anti-Muslim.
Oh yeah, always. That's
And I know he's anti-Christian and all, anti-Jew and all,
yeah,
anti-religion and all that kind of stuff too. So I deal with all that because whatever. Uh, but he goes hardcore on the Muslims too, man.
yeah, yeah. He was asked recently why he doesn't go as hard against the Jews and the Christians anymore. He's like, well, because they're not out there trying to kill you on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Man, we have strayed from the original topic. This is turning into tomorrow night's show.
There's still 5 people still watching. Well, four if you count me, 'cause I'm out there.
Well, I'm out there too, so that would be three people. KJO says, nice wrestling
That's
chat.
wrestling chat.
Wrestling with wife.
We're wrestling with philosophy. And Brock Lesnar would kick Joe Biden's ass.
So would Roman. So would Alexa Bliss.
That guy is so stupid, man. He said the other day when he was somewhere and they had all the F Biden flags out. So he couldn't resist, man. He had to bring it up. He was like, I can't believe that people would be out there with F this person flags and this. I mean, this is supposed to be a somber moment. You know, the people in his earpiece were like, Joe, shut up. Don't say nothing about it, Joe. Don't mention it, Joe. Shut up, Joe.
Well, were you watching last night on Gary's show when I showed the billboard from York, PA?
Yeah. I watched pretty much all Gary's show. I just didn't chat. You guys talked about food for an hour.
Talk about what for an hour?
Food and
Oh yeah,
farming and
yeah.
gardening.
Onion rings made with the batter that they use to make Funyuns.
Yeah.
I
That's
still
just,
think that could be a thing.
yeah, they're called Funyuns.
No, no, Funyuns are just like chips kind of thing. I'm talking about like real onion rings.
Oh, you okay? So
Dip
the
the
batter
onions
on the
in the
outside
batter
is Funyun.
for the fun. Yeah,
Oh, I'm good. That's right. That's one of the reasons why I didn't say much in the chat is because I spent too much time throwing up, listening, and even reading the disgusting people in the chat room.
uh, Gary thought it was something about like where you take the Funyuns and crumble them up and use that. And then G was like the only one that was besides me that was on the same page. He's like, no, we're talking about using the batter for the Funyuns as. And Gary's like, oh,
Uh, I'm gonna go to sleep. It's almost 2 hours. We got 4 more minutes.
yeah. Do we want to make it an even 2 minute, 2 hours?
Yeah, yeah. We'll do a long last shout out.
Well, hell, last week we were 2.5 hours, but we weren't late either. So,
I also didn't work 12 hours last Saturday either. I only worked like 9, 10 hours last Saturday.
oh, is that all?
Yeah,
You know, that's not that much of a difference.
that's not that much of a difference. This was a pain in the ass.
Mm. You gotta
Really
get a
good
day
people.
off, no?
Yeah, I'm working on that one of these days. Tomorrow might be the day. I'm not too sure yet.
Hmm. I wonder how did Ohio State win today?
You talking about sports ball?
I can't remember. But Jason's not here, so we can't really pick on him for them losing last weekend.
I don't care about sports ball. They can cancel all that shit. I don't
No,
care.
no, I'm just trying to figure out a topic we can pick on Jason for.
Oh, I mean, can't really pick on his gun collection.
No. Remember we made the joke about him maybe being a Muslim because he didn't like pork, didn't like bacon. Yeah. And he's like, no, no, I like bacon.
Yeah, he likes having fun with people like that.
He was like, maybe Jason's Muslim, and he's like, no, no, I like bacon.
Jason's a good dude, man. That the day I
Uh,
met him at the DC rally, he sat on that wall with me the whole time, man.
yeah, me, I stood there like a sucker. Just me and IO 45 just stood there watching. He kept saying, "You want to go sit down?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm okay." I wasn't okay after. Oh my god. Well, you were there.
Yeah, yeah,
We had to stop a couple of times because my back was just killing me at that point.
yeah. I think we uh we let emotion kind of overtake us at that time. When the rally was over and we all sat around and talked for a little while, we should have just left. Like after everybody socialized for a few minutes and realized, okay, we're not going to go eat together, and people started going their separate ways, we should have just rolled out.
Well, we
Because
did, but you lost the car. I couldn't remember
oh
where you
no,
parked.
no, we walked down almost to the Washington Monument with
Yeah, this is
Squib
yeah,
and New
that's right.
York and everybody.
Yeah,
Then we walked
budget
all
and
the way back
everybody.
to the hotel room with Budget and them.
Hmm.
And then you got us lost.
You got us lost. How did I get us lost? Well, I didn't know where you parked in the first place.
The same thing happened to me a certain day in a certain month that starts possible years off. The last time I was in DC, I parked in the same place. Same place.
and
Parked
you
in
still,
still
and you
couldn't
couldn't
park.
find it again.
Nope. Even my dad told me when I was going down for the DC rally. He said, he said, where are you going to park at? And I said, there's a parking garage right across the street from the Capitol building. So I'm going to park right there. He's like, you better write it down. You better take a picture. You better get a map. You better, telling me to make sure. And I was like, how am I going to? I said, look, as soon as I walk out of the parking lot, I can see the Capitol building right there. He was, okay, well, I warned you.
Yeah. And then your GPS got us lost too.
Yeah, that was stupid. That didn't make any sense at all.
Turn right here.
And I get it. If we were still in the city and they had the roads blocked off, that would be fine. But we were basically getting on the highway right there. And it said, hey, come over and visit the Met Gala or the
The
Lincoln
Kennedy
Center or
Center.
the Kennedy
Kennedy
Center.
Center. Yeah, the Kennedy Center's parking lot. Turn right here. Trying to get to Interstate 66. The last I knew, the Kennedy Center wasn't an exit for I-66. But okay.
No. MK Joe says we need a Monday morning grind. That was good.
Yeah, Jason ain't been doing his show lately. He's been too
Uh, he
tired.
he works a lot too.
Yeah, he works too much. He's gonna kill himself. He works more than you do.
Yeah, he's like he's like a production guy. Uh, so he's got a house. He's got
Hmm.
a neighborhood worth of work lined up for him every time.
Hmm.
You know.
He said a couple months ago he was going to switch jobs, and he never did. He's still doing it.
All right, I'm going to bed.
Yeah. Yeah. You got anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Just have a good night. Thanks for everybody hanging out in the chat and take it easy.
On that note, we will bid you all adieu. And good night, everybody. I'm not doing the whole Kenny Omega thing tonight because right now my brain can't remember what it was. So,
Do the Ric Flair.
woo!
There we go.
All right. Night, folks. Catch you next tomorrow, in fact. So,
There can be like a new shtick for you. And the show with a different wrestler's catchphrase every time.
okay, brother Jack, man.